In previous lessons, we learned the forms of first declension feminine nouns, second declension masculine nouns, and second declension neuter nouns. And we also learned the forms of the masculine, feminine, and neuter definite article. So now we're going to put lots of this together and look at first, second declension adjectives, and we're going to review all the forms of the definite article. Now, first, second declension adjectives are adjectives that take the endings that we already know from first declension feminine and second declension masculine and neuter nouns. Now, adjectives have to agree with their nouns in case, number, and gender. So we need forms of the adjective to cover all 5 cases, both numbers, and all 3 genders. That adds up to 30 forms of the adjective, but it's not 30 unique forms, and they're endings that you already know. Okay? Because in the masculine, the adjective takes endings that look like second declension masculine nouns. They look just like the endings that you know from anthropos. In the feminine, if the adjective stem ends in iota, rho, or epsilon, like axios does, axios means worthy. So if the stem ends in iota, rho, or epsilon, the feminine takes first declension feminine endings just like thea, so long alpha endings. And in the neuter, first and second declension adjectives take endings like second declension neuter nouns like doron. Okay? Let's talk briefly about what's going on with the accent. Adjectives have persistent accent, just like nouns, and look at the neuter nominative singular to determine where the accent wants to be. So for axios, it wants to be over that alpha. It wants to be on the antepenult, and it can be throughout if the ultima is short. But we know from the rules of accentuation that the accent can be on the antepenult only if the ultima is short. When the ultima is long, the accent gets pulled to the penult instead. One more thing, you'll remember that first declension nouns always have their accent in the genitive plural on the ultima. It's always a circumflex over the ultima, but that's not true of adjectives. The accent here is on the penult because that's where it needs to be by the rules for accent, the regular rules for accent. Okay, let's look at what happens when you have a stem that's not in iota, rho, or epsilon. So agathos, which means good. So then it's exactly the same in the masculine and the neuter. Okay. But in the feminine, instead of that long alpha throughout the singular, you have eta. Okay, so it works like skene. Other than that, exactly the same. Whoops. So let's take one look at what's going on with accents here. So again, we'll look at the neuter singular nominative to see where the accent wants to be. It wants to be on the ultima. And for first and second declension adjectives, just like first and second declension nouns, if the accent's on the ultima, then that accent becomes a circumflex on the genitive and dative singular and plural. Okay? Finally, let's take a look at the definite article. Now, these are actually forms that we've seen already, but I thought it would be good since we just seen the charts of the adjectives, the first and second declension adjectives, to take one look at all the forms of the definite articles written out with the masculine, feminine, and neuter side by side. And if you take a look, the endings here, except for the masculine nominative singular and the neuter nominative and accusative singular, those endings look just like the endings of the adjective agathos that we just saw. And that's it.